You guys went from Bernie bros to Trump supporters. You basically had the same arc as Joe Rogan. How did that happen?
Well, Anna hates this because Anna wasn't ever really a proper Bernie bro.
I will go on record and say that I've never been a leftist or a Bernie bro.
Okay.
I've always been a Trump supporter, but I was playing it cool and not going too hard on it because, like, I'll be frank about it, out of social cowardice, because I didn't want to fear any reprisals or repercussions. But if you listen to those early episodes, you can hear
Closeted.
Crypto MAGA.
Crypto.
I mean, people say that we did like a right-wing pivot, maybe cynically, but I don't really see it that way. I think like the center just shifted so drastically left. And when I was a Bernie-crat in 2016 and registered as a Democrat to vote for him in the primaries, it was a very different political landscape.
I totally relate to this because people have said that about me too, that it was like a money ploy to try to get an audience to, switch on Trump, to like change my views on Trump. And I actually did change my views on Trump. I was not his fan back in 2016 for all sorts of other reasons. I didn't mind his policies. I just didn't like him. And it's like, well, then if it was a cynical ploy for you and it was a money ploy for me, what happened to like Joe Rogan? Because he didn't, what happened to millions of Americans? The whole country shifted right by, some 5, 6, in some cases 10 or more points. Was it all a cynical ploy?
Well, again, yeah, they shifted right of center, which was more left than, so
exactly. When the center moves left, you've necessarily found yourself,
to the right of,
even though you haven't moved your feet.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like what the liberals and Democrats want to do now is shift the burden of proof from themselves onto everyone else to explain why there's a massive popular mandate for Trump, which just doesn't add up. I told myself I wasn't going to gloat, but I felt truly vindicated because my home state of New Jersey only lost Trump by 5 points.
I know. Wasn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's amazing.
I know. We go to New Jersey in the summers, and I was thrilled. I feel like Phil Murphy needs to feel the pain of the state becoming more and more red, because that nutcase right there is trying to bring in those windmills to ruin the views and the safety along the Jersey Shore and kill the whales, which really is a thing. And he hopefully now will listen that neither his residents nor the rest of the country wants that agenda. He should have realized it when he almost lost by a few points his reelection.
Yeah, and the same in New York, too. The same effect, a little higher, right? It was 11 points. But across the board, you see these like sweeping demographic changes of people shifting over to Trump, even in like traditionally deep blue strongholds.
Like Manhattan. Right?
Yeah.
Did you ever think you'd see the day? They didn't go for Trump, but they shifted toward Trump in double digits all over New York, the 5 boroughs. Well, we've been talking about, and I know you guys have too, one of the main issues and the number one issue for swing state voters is the trans issue. They said that in Democratic polling. There was a long postmortem, and they said in the swing states in particular, that was the number one issue. Too much focus on the trans stuff in particular by Democrats and not enough on the things that actually drive their lives and their concerns. And it's been very interesting to see this come to Capitol Hill this week. And Nancy Mace, who I think was probably inherently on our side on this issue, but like wasn't really focused on it, has now been woken up and is out there fighting this battle successfully on Capitol Hill. So then yesterday she goes to speak. Where was she when she got attacked? I don't know. My team will tell me. But she did get attacked by some trans activist. And here's a little bit of what happened.
It's ridiculous. It is the day after Trans Day of Visibility. We have had dozens of trans people die this year because of the hate and lies that you are spreading. And if we want an internet, are we building an internet with free speech for everyone or just the privileged few? Are you going to stand up to the lives of trans people, black and brown people? Are we fighting for justice or are we fighting for big tech? I thought we were fighting for justice here.
That his penis isn't going to be in my bathroom. So, at any rate, but we have a responsibility. If you're pro man watching me undress in a dressing room, you're part of the problem.
Yes, it was Georgetown University.
I mean, the trans stuff, yeah, I think it was like the silent majority really felt an instinct against it, and now maybe feel a new freedom to to speak on it. And to me, it's clear that the issue isn't even necessarily that like gender politics, that people are trans or wokeism. It's that like there's been an ideological capture of the institutions. Like if you go to the hospital to give birth and they call you a birthing person, that erodes trust. And what woke ideology has done broadly is just eroded trust in like a lot of like legacy institutions.
Absolutely right.
I get automated text messages from my insurance company that say something like, did you know that people who have had their uteruses removed are still at risk for cervical cancer? Get your pap smear now.
People.
Can I spurg on this issue for a minute?
Yeah.
I saw you posting about autogynephilia, and I was like JD Vance meme face, like ding, ding, ding. Because the most interesting thing to me about the trans issue is that the people pushing for it, the trans agenda, are not who you would expect. They're not the people that you would typically associate with being trans or identify as trans. It's not the young gay guys who want to pass as women because they want access to straight men and do, frankly, a pretty good job of passing. It's not the young tomboy girls who, as you mentioned, maybe have a history of sexual abuse or a history of obsessive thought patterns. It's two separate groups. Number one, it's autogynephiles who are straight men who have a paraphilia where they're sexually aroused by the thought of themselves dressed as women. These guys tend to be older. They're high achieving, high IQ, high aggression. They're very good at like making themselves heard. I've said this before and I'll say it again.
Well, it gets them off because they think being a woman is degrading.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And they get off on like people reacting badly to them.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like covert narcissism. They're like, I'm telling you everything I am, but if you react badly, you're the problem. And I never thought the patriarchy was real until I started getting bullied by these guys on the internet.
So interesting.
And then the second group, I think, are people who are not even trans. They would probably be identified as allies. It's like liberal women and male feminists who maybe identify as queer or suffer from Munchausen by proxy. And all of those people are very locked into like the medical industrial complex. And for me, like having looked into this, studied this for a long time, I think the name of the game is they want to collapse all these categories together for maximum victim status and plausible deniability. The people leading the charge are like the Jennifer Pritzkers of the world.
Right. Exactly right. The Pritzker family. And I'm sick of being lectured to by this Illinois governor who doesn't acknowledge what his family has been doing to our children. Now they're talking about him running for president. Okay. You know what? I will campaign in the streets against that guy to make clear what they've been doing. But okay, you said so many good things in there. I don't know. I have to ask my team. Do we have the AOC shot where she's going off about what's happening? Did you guys see her going off
Nancy
about
Mace
how,
wants to pull down your pants and inspect your genitalia.
Yes, we do have it. Good for my team. I don't know if I have the wrong SOT list, you guys. I have the VDH SOT list and not my Red Scare one. In any event, here's AOC.
What Nancy Mace and what Speaker Johnson are doing are endangering all women and girls. Because if you ask them, what is your plan on how to enforce this? They won't come up with an answer. And what it inevitably results in are women and girls who are primed for assault because people are going to want to check their private parts doing what. And so the idea that Nancy Mace wants little girls and women to drop trow in front of who? An investigator? Is disgusting. It is disgusting. And frankly, all it does is allow these Republicans to go around and bully any woman who isn't wearing a skirt. And if a woman doesn't look woman enough to a Republican, they want to be able to inspect her genitals to use a bathroom. It's disgusting. They're endangering women. They're endangering girls of all kinds.
I mean, that's just not
Women
true.
and
It's
girls of all
farcical.
kinds.
Right. But there's so much in there.
Yeah.
So that, to your point, Dasha, you hit the nail right on the head. These guys, these autogynephiles, get off on dressing like us, pretending that they're us, and then being shamed about it. And so what she's referencing there is one of those perverted little fantasies you will find in the dark trans chat rooms about how they want to be told they're bad little girls and they have to lift up their dresses to show their private parts. I'd love to know what portions of the internet she's on, because she just revealed something about herself that I don't think she knows she revealed. That's sick. Literally no one's talking about that other than the pervs in these chat rooms.
I mean, you said on a recent episode that there already are gender neutral bathrooms in Washington.
Right.
The fact that they want explicitly to go into a women's bathroom, like, why are you so obsessed with going to the bathroom?
Right. I told them I was going to pay for them to build one if they didn't have one. Turns out they already have them. So what's the controversy?
Yeah. And this person who attacked Nancy Mace with his her deep voice,
Yes.
And they're citing these statistics of trans people who've been murdered. Like, the trans people who are vulnerable are not AGPs.
No, they're
who are
gay,
literally
they're homosexual, transsexuals. Yeah,
That's exactly right. So this is Blanchard, right? Richard Blanchard. I think I called him Blanchard the other day.
Blanchard,
But Blanchard is the one who took a deep dive into trans people, and in particular, so-called trans women, which is just not a thing. It's men pretending to be women.
Well, there are
there's people with gender dysphoria.
There's two categories.
Well, that's where I'm going. Yeah. So what he found is that people who say they're trans break down generally into two categories. One is gay men, more effeminate gay little boys.
Homosexual transsexuals.
There you go.
Yeah, and they're going to be often like younger, black and brown versus white, lower income. They're the ones who are really at risk because they often engage in prostitution. They suffer from drug addiction. Those are the guys, women, getting raped and murdered in the streets, usually by members of their own community.
And then, according to Blanchard, it's 93%, 91 or 93% are actually autogynephiles. So the overwhelming odds that if you meet a man pretending to be a woman are that he is one of these, I get off on dressing like a woman and I get off on being shamed. For those of us holding our breath for the past several months, we can finally exhale. Doesn't it feel like that? Work can finally be done on the major issues this country is facing, and it will be. One of the most significant, our national debt. The fact is our nation is broke, and that debt is a house of cards that can't be quickly dismantled. So the strategy remains the same. You might want to diversify your savings. This is why I want to tell you about Birch Gold. So many things are out of our control and out of our president's control, so it can be really important to have a safe haven for your savings. Birch Gold Group can help you convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold. And the best news is it doesn't cost you 1 cent out of pocket. Text MK to 989898 now to get your free info kit. Plus, right now through Black Friday, you're going to receive a free 1-ounce Silver Eagle for every $5,000 purchased. Protect your savings with Birch Gold. Text MK to 989898 and claim your eligibility for free silver today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.